lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see.
Over the past year, we've all been left wondering what on earth is going on between Jeff and Tayla. Jeff and Tayla first met when she was 11 weeks pregnant with her daughter Briley, and Jeff has helped raise her ever since. When the pair were first together, Tayla moved to Las Vegas to live with Jeff in his parents' home. And while everything seemed to be great at first, some cracks started to appear in the relationship, with Tayla first making claims that Jeff left Tayla alone in a motel room with Briley while she went out to gamble with his family members at a casino. At least this is what Tayla told her followers on Instagram story. This is what it read. The truth behind everything. I left Jeff, as we all know. I was trying to co-parent and cohabitate until this weekend I told him I won't do it anymore. Why? He ditched me and Bri in a hotel room while I had no phone charger. After that, the next morning, I said I didn't appreciate it and he started disrespecting me to the point I pulled over and told him to get out of my car. He refused, said I had to take him home. I told him I didn't have to do anything and to get out of my car. Things later blew up tremendously and had followers very unsure what was fact or fiction, with Tayla making a lot of accusations about Jeff and then later acting like it never happened. But before we do get into Jeff and Tayla, let's just take a little walk down memory lane. Who is Tayla and how exactly does she fit into the Instamum community? Tayla first came into the spotlight back in the Instagram Periscope days. And if you don't know what Periscope is, Periscope was an app where you could go live before Instagram installed the feature for themselves. At the time, Tayla was around 13 years of age and was openly talking about trying to conceive with her boyfriend. And as you can imagine, a whole lot of mums in the Instagram community were very concerned about her. During this time, Tayla announced many pregnancies followed by pregnancy losses, a couple with men she'd only been dating for a very, very short time. But there was a lot of speculation about the legitimacy of these pregnancies. Tayla also never spoke about these pregnancies while on live in front of her mother, but she always claimed that her mother didn't care that she was 13 and trying to conceive when anyone asked her. And while Tayla claims there was a lack of love from her mother, there was definitely a lack of respect on Tayla's part in most people's opinions after they watched their interactions on Periscope. But this is how Tayla describes her past in full depth according to her Instagram story. This is what she says. It's been a while since I've done a full in-depth, hey, this is my story post, I guess. But with all the topics that have been brought up lately, I think it's time to be said and left alone after that. Here is a very small look into my life. Things I did as a teenager were due to lack of support, lack of love, and lack of knowing any better. They should not all dictate who I am today. 5+ years later, or how people view me to this very day. We all do dumb things at a young age, but they shouldn't describe who we are for the rest of our lives. Main reason being is obviously as we grow, we continue to learn better habits, change our way of life, change our way of thinking, etc. At 16, I was a high school dropout, thinking I would never go to college or get my diploma. I also said I would never drive because of my fear of cars, and after being in a severe rollover car crash. By 18, I had my diploma, driver's license, my own car, and was going to college, while also living on my own and supporting myself. But I definitely had some hard times during that time period. Failed relationships, multiple miscarriages, I endured a tremendous amount of physical, emotional abuse from multiple people, etc. Despite I continued not to have the best luck in life, even into my adulthood, I continued to push myself to do better and be better. Main reason being I wanted more out of life than how everyone around me was living. So by 20, I was living in a new city, working full-time, recently graduated, became a registered medical assistant, and I was also expecting. After finding out the news that I was pregnant, the bio father didn't want to be involved because I didn't want to tolerate his lifestyle. Drugs, no stable home, etc. for mine and my daughter's sake. So I got my own 2-bedroom apartment and planned to have the baby on my own after getting a full-time job right out of college. She went on to add this, hoping that followers would just forget all the accusations that she made about Jeff. Now, I'm not writing this all out for praise or sympathy. I'm simply showing people grow, people change. People do go through hell behind closed doors, but still wake up every day and do what they need to do to be successful. I've turned my life around and built myself up from nothing. I've been to rock bottom more times than I can count, and I've always brushed myself off and continue to do things through the bullshit. I've been homeless. I've been disowned by my family because I didn't support their substance abuse. I've been attacked by my family because I didn't support their habits. I've had people try to kill me. I've been attacked by partners and so much more. Every bad situation you could think of, I've probably had it happen to me. For the reason I gave up everything and busted my ass to get away from that lifestyle I was born into, not just for me, but also for my daughter. And that was one of the main reasons I went to Vegas not long after she was born. I wanted to give her a life 100% away from toxicity and certain people I tried so hard to stay away from. It was a great idea at the time, just poorly executed, which added stress not only to me but everyone involved to the point I was not in a good situation. It caused my mental health to go downhill. I suffered from severe PPA and PPD and a few other things with my mental health that I don't care to speak of. Long story short, tensions were high. I was constantly arguing with Jeff, but neither of us were hearing each other. It was all around a nasty situation that only progressively got worse, but nothing ever got physical before that gets brought up. It was all mental turmoil, not saying that makes it any better, but nothing got physical. Now let me just repeat that last part. Tayla says, but nothing ever got physical before that gets brought up. It was a mental turmoil, not saying that's any better, but nothing got physical. So let's just get to the allegations, shall we? During one of their big arguments, Tayla, of course, took to Instagram to blast their relationship online. This is what she posted when referring to her and Jeff's fight, where Jeff allegedly smashed the radio in Tayla's car, according to Tayla, of course. She says, "It got to the point I had to open my car door and force him out of my car. While doing so, he broke my radio and dented my dashboard. Right after I forced him out, he tried to get it back in, so I pushed him and threw a perfume bottle, harmless, at him, telling him to go before I called the cops. He broke the perfume bottle in half, sprayed it all over my car before he insisted he needed his candy out of my center console, another reason to get back in my car. I shoved him one final time and the car door in his face from the passenger seat, locked the doors, and he hit my car as I drove off. I was seriously scared and felt trapped, so I did what I had to do. After that night, he went out for over 16 hours. Not going to lie, I missed him, but I was happy he was gone. The next day, I took a day to myself and decided I was going out for the first time since being here. Have a Brian Me day. We drove around all afternoon looking at places around here, got food, and then went to a park where somebody offered to meet us there and help us with the situation. So, long story short, I didn't cheat. I've been split with Jeff for a long time now. He thought we could maybe work through stuff, but I told him countless times no, and a final I'm leaving with Bri after this incident. He doesn't like it and he has been vengeful ever since. I'm legit being abused and everyone thinks it's funny. By the way, he also cornered me and screamed at me last night as Bri is shrieking in the background, scared, so that was fun. I legit am being thrown out because I didn't let him control me anymore. I have nowhere to stay. My family is trying to get us back home and on what little money we have. And honestly, I just want to call it quits and give up so badly. If I didn't have Bri, who legit only has me, I would. I would have offed myself last night, no doubt about it." Now, who was this someone who offered to meet Tayla at the park to help her situation? According to Tayla in later posts, she claims to have known this person for a while, but according to Jeff at the time, this is a man that Tayla had met on the Tinder app. Tayla claims she didn't cheat on Jeff because they were already broken up, and she claims this guy was purely there to help her get out of the situation she got in. But later, Jeff logged onto Tayla's account and shared screenshots from a phone on her social media. She claimed that Jeff had hacked her phone, but it seems that Tayla's old phone she had just replaced was synced to her new phone, and because of it, Jeff could see everything she was up to. This is what Jeff wrote on Tayla's Instagram. "I just cheated on Jeff Bledsoe, met up with a Tinder guy today, with Bri at a park, and then I decided to send this dude nudes." Now, I don't know about you, but what man goes surfing a dating site looking for a damsel in distress? It doesn't seem plausible that she's met up with some guy in Vegas who she's supposedly known forever. I mean, that is a long, long way away from home for Tayla, don't you think? I think most people come to the conclusion that Tayla fabricated the story because of the judgment she was receiving. A lot of followers felt that exposing Briley to a stranger she was just meeting for the first time was a poor choice and neglectful of Briley's needs, especially seeing as it was someone from a dating site. Also, let's not forget that Tayla was still living at Jeff's parents' house with Jeff this entire time. Many likened it to the teen mum Kaylin Lowry story when she lived with Joe and was dating Jordan. Definitely a little bit disrespectful. What could some random guy that she met in the park possibly offer her that she couldn't do for herself? And we aren't making excuses for Jeff if he did smash her radio like she claims, but we definitely see why he would be upset. But what happened after Jeff came out and exposed the truth to all of her followers on Instagram? Of course, Tayla hit back with an explanation and probably the worst allegations against Jeff of all. This is what she said. "Not talking to anyone like that. I went to the park to legit talk to a person who wanted to help me, like fix my resume so I could get a job, make a Bumble BFF account so I can have friends, and help me start my OnlyFans, along with meet some of his friends that do it because he wanted to help me in any way that he could. He felt bad that I was trapped. Jeff hacked my phone somehow on his old phone and saw it all. He took over my social media and won't give the passwords back, and he slanders me and harasses me on them. He even forced himself on me last night, after getting home knowing I was vulnerable and literally a total shell of myself. I legit was in the fetal position crying, and he dragged my lifeless body next to him every chance he could to make advances with me. I'm legit being abused and everyone thinks it's funny to the point that I just want to off myself. I don't know how I'm going to go home in the next 24 hours and pretend none of this happened or let people see me as this awful person when I was legit being abused. He took everything, literally everything from me, and thinks it's okay to continue to take and take. I just want to myself and be done, but I can't because I'm all Bri has despite I'm pathetic and I have nothing to offer anymore. Again, what man goes on Tinder and organises to meet up with someone to make them a Bumblebee account and fix their resume? Like, what? It also begs the question, why is Tayla telling all of these men on a dating site about her situation? We can only assume that she did the same thing to meet Jeff when she was pregnant with Briley. Now, we can interpret this one of two ways. Either the girl cannot be alone and is always looking for the next man to be with, or she's a homosexual. And if you're unsure what a homosexual is, according to the Urban Dictionary, this is someone who enters into a relationship to avoid being homeless. As I said before, Tayla later claimed that she knew the guy from Tinder prior to the park visit. On her anonymous submission link, a follower sent this to Tayla. Okay, so you have the same rule for yourself. What about in Vegas when you met up with a random friend and you took your baby? Or when you moved in with Jeff's family, you never met any of them before and yet you brought your daughter to live there. So this is okay for you to do, but not anyone else. You're a complete hypocrite. Tayla responded by saying, I knew that person prior and I actually knew all of Jeff's family prior because we spent Christmas in 2019 together. I'm not a hypocrite, you're just misinformed. Let's take a look at some of the other posts she made during this time when they broke up. Tayla posted this quote on her story. Someone said, I'd rather just adjust your absence than be frustrated by your presence. I felt that. She then captioned it with the following. Now, if you can laugh or make fun of me or make sick jokes of me while I'm going through this, you're sick, period. You're heartless and sickening. I only stayed because going home with nothing was worse than staying until my taxes came in. I had no money to fall back on, especially because when I go home, I can't stay with my mum or siblings or cousins or whatever. I can only stay with my grandparents temporarily, and if I was able to wait until my taxes came to figure shit out and leave, I'd be able to get a job in a month of being back home and get a house of my own, a couple of months of having said job. I'd only need proof of income and then I'd be fine, as I'd have a means to make things happen. Doing things this way was going to be hard, so I honestly dread it. So yeah, I knew the issues, I wasn't blind, I was just trying to make sure that if I went back home, we weren't going to be in the middle of a winter storm and with no means to where we would be homeless. All because I gave up our home and stability in an attempt to do better for Bri. Call me dumb if you wish, but I didn't do anything ever expecting for something like this to happen. But here's the truth, since he wants to slander and harass me and say I did all of these god-awful things, when I've seriously done nothing but try to get through the day. Try to make the best of things out of this entire fucked up situation while every day I was treated like I was worthless and unworthy of being loved. Now, during this breakup and when everything kind of went crazy and they were posting about each other, something else actually went down and I can't find the screenshots for the life of me. So if you have these screenshots, please send them in and I'm going to include them in the part 2 of this video. But Tayla also claimed that she had a miscarriage when these guys were together. She said it was Jeff's baby and she had a miscarriage. But then later on, after they broke up, she told everybody that she actually aborted that baby and that Jeff forced her to abort that baby. And it was kind of unclear because originally when she had posted that she had a miscarriage, it wasn't like she outright said, I had a miscarriage. She just said the baby is no longer. And people thought that was kind of odd. Like, why would you word it that way? Wouldn't you just say you had a miscarriage? But then later on, she came forward and said, actually, I had an abortion. And then she said that Jeff forced her to have that abortion. As I said before, if you're one of the people that does have those screenshots, if you could send them into the page, that would be so great because we have so many newbies on the page now and lots of them are like, I need to know the background story, and obviously we don't want to come without receipts. So I'd love to be able to show those screenshots in the second video. I actually completely forgot that this had happened until one of the other admins brought it up and I was like, oh my God, how did I forget that happened? Because at the time it was fairly crazy. So if you have those screenshots, please send them in and I'll include them in the next video. Now back to Tayla's post. This post she put on her story and it actually did refer to the abortion that Jeff allegedly made her get. However, I just don't have the screenshots where she announced the pregnancy and then said the pregnancy was no longer. So those are the screenshots that I'm after. This one does talk about the alleged abortion. But this is what she posted on her story. It says, That was pointless. We could have just stayed strangers. So, long story short, the abuser is crying victim once again, and I'm being made out to be the bad guy. It's great. As if I'm not hurting enough already, the man who legit took everything from me and abused me for over a year gets to look like the victim because fuck. I'm supposedly a liar and a piece of shit and deserve him doing all the things he did to me, including forcing me to get an abortion, otherwise he said I'd be homeless, cheating on me the entire relationship, bringing me out here on lies, forcing himself on me, telling me I'm worthless, no one will ever love me, and that Bri is better off without me, threatening to take Bri from me, cornering me and trying to take my only means to where my child can eat, threatening to hurt me, breaking my things, and being a huge controlling narcissist, manipulative arsehole towards me day in, day out. Then finally telling me I have one day to leave while I have no money, nowhere to go, and just honestly want to be done fighting this fight. I wish we never met. I wish I never let him take so much from me. I wish I never moved out here. Just bear in mind here that that post was actually posted before she later came out and said that things between her and Jeff never got physical when it came to abuse. So obviously her followers were quite upset by this because they had been watching her stories and she put posts up like this claiming that he had sexually assaulted her, that, you know, he had forced her to have an abortion and that he'd broken the car stereo and just, you know, breaking her things. Now, obviously, being sexually assaulted is a physical violence. You know, everyone's going to say that it's physical abuse. No two ways about it. So when she later came forward and said, oh, no, things never got physical, her followers were annoyed by this because they were like, hold on, are you just making up excuses because you have Bri around this man all the time? So people couldn't work out with maybe she was making up excuses because she got back with him, or if maybe she just lied the entire time. Like, we still don't really know what went down, but I can see why people were very concerned about Bri's safety. Tayla then tried to wrap it up by telling followers that she was taking a break from Instagram, and if you know Tayla, then you sure know these Instagram breaks she always claims to be taking never usually last beyond a couple of days. But this is what she posted. The only person I ever lost and needed back was myself. I'm getting back off of here, as I've said more than enough, more than I ever wanted to share on here, but I'm tired of being made out to be the bad guy when I'm sorry, but I'm the victim here tenfold. My mum's coming to town tonight. I was supposed to be out of here by today, but it's not possible due to there's no late flights available today, so I'm waiting on Bri to wake up, going to get her situated, and then we're going to get ready and go track down some boxes somewhere, I don't know where, so I can start packing later on, and then tomorrow we will get an oil change, new front tyres for my car, and a U-Haul. I don't know what I'm doing here, I truly don't know, but right now all I can do is take it one step at a time. During this time, Tayla also posted saying she had no money and was basically stranded. Some kind followers of hers decided to send her money to help her get a motel for her and Bri, and I cannot confirm this is where she used these funds. But what we do know is Tayla's mother flew to Vegas and Tayla was intending to go home with her mother, but Tayla's mother left without Tayla. There were speculations that perhaps Tayla and her mother had had an argument when they met, and Tayla did not want to agree with her mother's terms. Others speculated that perhaps her and Jeff resolved their conflict, and so she decided to stay in Las Vegas with Jeff. Either way, Tayla got a lot of lashback from followers who were upset the money donated to her was not used for what she told them it was intended to be used for. Tayla claimed to her followers that she never asked them for money, but she must have played some part in receiving the money because how else would they know where to send it? From this point, Tayla seemed to lose a lot of supporters, but for whatever reason, continued to open her anonymous submission box for the questions to pour in. Some followers questioned whether it was Tayla herself sending the subs in as a way to explain her way out of what happened and perhaps even gain some sympathy from it. At this point, it was extremely hard to sympathise with her, even more so when she told her followers that she would be staying in a parenting relationship with Jeff. Now, obviously, many people are going to be confused why someone would want to parent a child with someone who they claim has been extremely abusive towards them, unless, of course, those allegations weren't true. She later posted this on her Instagram story, completely denying any allegations of the abuse. Someone wrote, "Didn't you say that Jeff hurt you in front of Bri? Why would you go back to him?" And she replied by saying, "I'm going to say this now. Jeff has never gotten physical with me. He has never laid hands on me, especially not in front of Bri. We have had our share of arguments like every other couple out there, but he has never gotten physical and put his hands on me, let alone in front of our daughter." Right. Tayla claimed for months and months that her and Jeff were only friends and that they would not be getting back together unless he worked on himself, etc., and sorted out the issues in their relationship. But it was fairly evident to everyone else that they had resumed their relationship fairly quickly. So, for the last 3 months, Tayla has been posting the longest stories on Instagram, paragraphs and paragraphs of very vague statements that she claims to explain her situation, but she also explains absolutely nothing. Like nothing at all. It turned out that Tayla had moved back in with her grandma, and she confirmed her and Jeff had resumed their relationship and that they were house hunting so that they could move in together close to where Tayla lives. But there seemed to be a lot of setbacks. According to Tayla, Jeff received some news about a sick family member, and then he himself contacted COVID and then found out some news about himself. And while Tayla said it wasn't her story to tell and it wasn't anyone's business, she continued to post vague stories to tweak people's interests. Tayla claimed to have a house, but it appeared that every time Jeff visited, they were in a motel, which of course was later confirmed on Facebook that she was living back with her grandma, when her grandma had commented to a friend that her and Briley were back living with her. Tayla had confirmed that her and Jeff had found a place and she was just waiting for Jeff to pick up the keys so they could move in. Of course, this was odd to followers because if Jeff's working, why wouldn't Tayla just go and pick up the keys herself and start moving some items into their home? Wouldn't that make more sense? I'm going to leave part 1 of this video here and we'll get back to the breakup in part 2 of this video. In the meantime, you can catch me on Instagram on TWT 4.5 or if you can handle it, TWT 5.0.